Today we're talking about 5 healthy foods to avoid. Now, when I say healthy, what I mean is that most people think these things are healthy, and I used to think they were healthy before I really got into natural health. So when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I was really into fitness and I wanted to have a healthy body. I was always into health and performance, but I thought these foods were healthy and I consumed a lot of them. Later, I found out they had a whole lot of hidden processed sugars, chemicals, and seed oils that drive up inflammation, cause blood sugar imbalances, and are not healthy, things you absolutely want to avoid. So first thing is smoothies. In fact, your typical smoothies out there are loaded with sugar. I laugh because I used to work at a popular smoothie place called Smoothie King, and I used to work there when I was, I think, 19 or so. And the most popular drink is called Angel Food. And in an Angel Food, the 20-ounce Angel Food would have 75 grams of sugar in it. That is a huge load on your system. It's very stressful for your body to consume that much processed sugar. It drives up your blood sugar, drives up your insulin levels, and creates massive stress and inflammation on your system. And the average smoothie, if you go into any sort of store or any sort of smoothie place, you're getting a smoothie that is full of sugar, oftentimes very little protein, very little fat, certainly not enough healthy protein and healthy fat to help balance your blood sugar. So the average smoothie out there, if you go to a typical smoothie joint or even most people that are health conscious that are making smoothies at home, it's gonna have 40 to 80 grams of sugar in it. You definitely want to avoid that. Now, you can make healthy smoothies. I always start with either a half an avocado or an avocado because that kind of makes it creamy and it provides a lot of healthy fats. And it really just depends on how much healthy fat you can consume. One avocado typically has about 30 grams of fat. So for some people, they can't handle that. So they can do a half an avocado or a quarter of an avocado, put that in there. You can use a good milk base like an unsweetened coconut milk or a grass-fed whole milk if you're able to do dairy okay. You can also use almond milk, unsweetened almond milk. You don't want to get any sort of sweetened milk base. If you're getting something sweetened, that means they added sugar to it. So get it unsweetened. If it is low in fat, you can obviously look at the ingredients. If it's less than 5 grams of fat in a serving, add in the avocado, right? The avocado, again, will make it creamier. We'll add in more healthy fats that will stabilize your blood sugar. You can add in good healthy proteins. So you're always looking to get at least 30 grams of protein. It could be coming from bone broth protein, collagen protein, egg protein, whey protein. There's a lot of different protein sources, pea protein. So find a good protein powder that ideally is as minimally, obviously it's processed, but you want to get one that has a low amount of sugar. Obviously no added processed sugars in it. And ideally getting something that's organic or grass-fed that's not going to have a whole lot of chemicals in it. That's always a good idea as well. Add that in to make sure you get your protein levels. You can also add something like a lot of people will do raw eggs and they'll add that in there. Maybe they'll put in some hemp seeds or something along those lines. You can certainly do that. You can add in berries and you can make a great smoothie that's lower in sugar, has got the healthy fats and the protein to create blood sugar stability, but you definitely want to avoid any sort of like smoothie type of, like a franchise, smoothie franchise, because again, most of those, they're concocted recipes that are designed to taste really good, but they're really high in processed sugars. In fact, there's an ingredient at Smoothie King we used to put in, it was called turbinado, and it was basically just processed sugar that we would, put in pretty much every drink that they had. And so definitely want to avoid that. Number 2 is yogurt. Now, if you've been following me, actually I'm a big fan of organic Greek yogurt and ideally pasture-raised Greek yogurt if you're able to get that. I know at some are healthier places like a Whole Foods, they'll sell a grass-fed organic Greek yogurt, and that can be really good. And I like the Greek yogurt because it's higher in protein, has a higher protein content, a little bit lower in fat, higher in protein than kind of your regular yogurt. Of course, you want to get the whole milk-based Greek yogurt. And I'm a huge advocate of kind of prioritizing protein because I can get healthy fats from things like avocados, extra virgin olive oil, grass-fed meats, things like that. But I want the protein that's in the yogurt, but I also want some fats in there too. So that's why I like the whole milk-based Greek yogurt. However, your typical yogurt, and what most people are buying in the grocery store, is some sort of commercially raised animal, commercially raised dairy, and it's got a whole bunch, the fruit on the bottom, all the different things like that. They've got a lot of different processed sugars in there, a lot of different sweeteners in there to make it taste really, really good. And most of these things have 25 to 35 grams of sugar. I used to get the Breyers when I was younger. My dad really liked these, the fruit on the bottom, Breyers. And it was like always so amazing. You'd either mix it up, or I like to wait till I got to the bottom and I'd have the concentrated fruit, which was basically like fruit in kind of a marbling, which was just concentrated sugar right there at the bottom. I mean, 35 grams easily of just concentrated sugar that I was putting in my system. Now, fortunately, I was getting a little bit of protein and fat in there as well with the yogurt, but the sugar really threw that off. So I recommend getting organic, grass-fed, or at least organic Greek yogurt. If you're able to tolerate dairy, if you have an immune sensitivity to dairy, then avoid it altogether. But if you tolerate dairy, I fortunately do very well with dairy. I'll do organic Greek yogurt or organic grass-fed Greek yogurt. And then I'll add in some of my own fruit if I want to. I'll put in a little bit of organic berries in there. I'll put in protein powder. I like to put in a collagen protein that also has MCT powder in it. So I get some extra MCT fats, which are the type of fats that turn quickly into ketones in my system. And I've got some good collagen protein to help support my joints, my skin, my hair, my gut lining. So I'll put that in there, and it's flavored with stevia, so it adds a little bit more flavor. Sometimes I'll put in a little bit of fruit, and that's a great dish. So you can do a lot of these quote unquote healthy foods, but just do them better than what most people are doing and what you may have been taught to do or raised to do throughout your childhood. So that's number two. Number three is protein bars. And in my early 20s, I became a personal trainer. And if you know personal trainers out there, many of them are eating a lot of protein bars. A lot of people in the fitness world, they're eating protein bars because they're convenient. Oftentimes they taste really good because, again, they're using a lot of ultra-processed carbohydrates in them as well as chemicals to make them taste good. And they got the convenience factor. And then, of course, they might label them as a superfood bar or a high protein bar or something along those lines. Even some of them are labeled as keto. But they're full of processed ingredients. Now, your average protein bar, not the keto ones, are going to be somewhere between 10 to 30 grams of added sugar in them. So that's definitely going to cause blood sugar imbalances and drive up inflammation in your body. Some of the keto ones are better. There's a brand called Perfect Keto. I think they do a pretty good job making probably the best type of bar. And there's also a good superfood bar, which I like, from Paleo Valley. They have a superfood bar. They've got spirulina in it. They've got, different greens in there. They use a bone broth collagen protein. That's definitely a better one to have. And that's one that, I'll consume from time to time or have my children consume. My children really love these as well. But this isn't something that's a staple part of our diet. And, we'll use it occasionally for a convenience factor. But again, we try to find ones that are minimally processed and have real food-based ingredients. You want to avoid the ones that are highly processed and have a whole lot of ingredients that are not real food-based, because again, they're going to throw off your blood sugar stability, and they're going to increase your toxic load with all the different chemicals and additives that are in there, throw off your insulin sensitivity, your ability to burn fat effectively, your ability to think sharply and quickly. So that's what you want to do. Get a healthier protein bar. A couple brands I like. Again, I like Paleo Valley's superfood bar. I like Perfect Keto's bar, that's a good one. And then Bulletproof has a bar as well, that's good. So there's a couple good brands out there that if you want something for the convenience that are more acceptable, but in general, protein bars should never really be a staple part of your diet. They're, just a convenience factor food that may help in a pinch, but again, the more we can avoid these kind of highly processed foods and eat real foods, the better off we're going to be. Number four is salad dressings. A lot of people, they'll go to restaurants and they get, what they think is a healthy meal, and they get the salad. Now, in general, eating salads, eating vegetables, for most people that are able to tolerate and digest raw vegetables, that's a healthy choice. But the problem is when it comes with like the house salad dressing, or what most restaurants are using as a salad dressing, and what most people are buying and carrying at their home. They might make a salad at home. They might even go to a farmer's market and get locally grown organic vegetables, but then they go and they get a commercially processed salad dressing and they put it on top. And what do you find in those salad dressings? You find concentrated seed oils that are highly inflammatory: canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, cottonseed oil. These oils are highly refined, processed. They become rancid in the body. They drive up oxidative stress and inflammation, highly damaging to our body, to our system, increase inflammation in our arterial beds and our endothelial lining of our blood vessels, drive up inflammation in our joints, damage our gut lining. You definitely want to avoid them. And they're concentrated. They're taken in a concentrated form in a lot of these salad dressings. And a lot of the salad dressings also have high fructose corn syrup and other sugar additives and sweetener additives to make it kind of really pop in your mouth. And so they're using these cheap damaged fats as well as the cheap and highly satisfying or kind of hyper processed or hyper sensitizing types of ingredients in your mouth that really make you like it and enjoy it. Hyper palatable. They're hyper palatable. And so you really enjoy it and you want more, okay? And that makes you feel like, wow, this must have been really good. It tasted great. And you ate vegetables, and it was a healthy way, or in a sense, a tasteful way of consuming the vegetables, but obviously it wasn't healthy. Again, you had all the refined seed oils that drive up inflammation. You had the sugar additives, very damaging for your body. So instead, you want to use a good high polyphenol extra virgin olive oil. Even if you're going to a restaurant, you might even want to make your own dressing and bring it with you. Use a high polyphenol extra virgin fresh pressed olive oil. You can put apple cider vinegar in it if you want a little bit of vinegar, or lemons. In fact, a lot of restaurants, if you just ask them, if you bring in your own oil, you ask them for lemons, they'll bring lemons out. You can squeeze that on there. Okay, you can put, you might even bring your own spices or herbs, things like that you might want to put on it. Most restaurants are not going to have good olive oil. So if you ask the restaurant, you say, hey, can I just have olive oil with this? Oftentimes they'll say yes, but if you really try to pry in there and kind of find out what their olive oil is, most restaurants, even if it's labeled olive oil in the kitchen, it's tainted with some sort of seed oil, canola oil, soybean, safflower, something along those lines. So again, you've got the refined seed oils in there. So at best, a lot of these restaurants are using like a 50% cut olive oil. So it's like 50% olive oil, 50% corn oil. This is why I'm an advocate actually of bringing your own olive oil. If you're gonna have a salad or something that you might want that oil with, bring your own homemade dressing where you've got olive oil, maybe some apple cider vinegar, balsamic vinegar that's organic, doesn't have all the added sugars and preservatives and seed oils and things like that in it, and kind of make your own. And that is a great approach. And then you can order the vegetables and kind of add that in there. So the big caveat to remember there is ordering a salad at a restaurant may actually be the worst thing to order if you're going to consume the dressing, because the vegetables just become a carrier for all these damaged, rancid fats, as well as all these highly refined blood sugar spiking things like high fructose corn syrup. So got to be careful with the dressings. Number 5 is granola. And I grew up, in the 90s, my mom was very health conscious, and so we thought granola was really healthy, and it was all the buzz. Everybody was doing granola. In fact, they even, if you're health conscious today, they'll call you, like a crunchy or a granola, they'll call you a granola mom, right? If you're into taking good care of your kids, because it's got this connotation with being healthy. But I looked up the amount of net carbohydrates. If you go to Google or your search engine, you type in how many net carbohydrates in a cup of granola, one of the common homemade recipes that's out there, right? So that you'll find a whole bunch of different ranging ideas, and it depends on what they make it with. But one of the most common recipes for making homemade granola utilizes oats. It utilizes like 2 cups of brown sugar in there, something like that. It's got honey in there. It's got a little bit of walnuts. Trying to think of what else. Cinnamon. Cinnamon actually is good. It helps with improving insulin sensitivity. But basically, it's mostly high carbohydrate, high glycemic foods. And I found that 1 cup of this homemade granola had 76 grams of net carbs and over 30 grams of sugar in it. 1 cup. That's high glycemia. I mean, that's gonna impact your blood sugar, cause a major blood sugar spike, followed by a big drop of insulin into your bloodstream. That insulin increases oxidative stress, it increases inflammation, increases fat storage, and then drives down the blood sugar. And a few hours later, you're gonna have low blood sugar. You're not gonna feel good. You're gonna have brain fog. You might be hungry. You might have cravings. You might feel nauseous. Some people, they feel nauseous. They feel irritable. They get the hangry type of feeling. That's what you're gonna get when you consume granola like that. Now, is it possible to make granola by changing the recipe and making it less glycemic, less inflammatory? Absolutely it is. You know, what would I do? I don't personally do this, but if I did, what would I put in there? I would put, nuts. I would put maybe some walnuts or almonds, cashews, something along those lines. I put coconut flakes in there so you get the healthy fats there. I put cinnamon. I may, if I want like more flavor with it, I might put like some stevia drops, which is an all-natural sweetener that can add in a little bit of sweetness. So you can do that. I would put cranberries in there, like dried cranberries. Cranberries are much lower in sugar and they're actually more nutrient dense, very rich in vitamin C, quercetin, which is a powerful antioxidant. The kind of tartness of the cranberry is actually something called ellagic acid, which is really good for your gut microbiome. So that can be really helpful. So if you're gonna get dried cranberries, though, don't get them with added sugar, right? So some dried cranberries are out there that are marketed, actually add sugar to the cranberries to make it more palatable. Again, avoid those, get ones without the added sugar, and you can kind of add those in there. Any sort of dried fruit typically is like a concentrated form of sugar. Make sure there's no added sugar if you're gonna add any sort of dried fruit to something. You can get dried blueberries, raisins, things like that, but remember, it's gonna have more sugar with it. So don't load it up with that, only put a small amount, and always make sure you're getting it without the added sugar. And that's a really good idea. So you can do that. You can even put some like dark chocolate in there, some dark unsweetened chocolate that you can put in there, or let's say like 80% dark chocolate. Obviously, the lower the percentage of chocolate, the more sugar they add. So if you're getting it, 70% chocolate, 60%, you're gonna notice that there's more and more sugar being added to that chocolate bar or chocolate chips or whatever you're getting. You can also find some chocolate chips that are sweetened with things like erythritol and stevia. Now, some people don't do well with erythritol, but it doesn't spike your blood sugar. Research has shown that it actually helps to balance your blood sugar and doesn't spike your insulin. The issue with erythritol is that for some people it gives them a lot of gas and bloating. So as long as you're able to tolerate erythritol, you can find chocolate that's erythritol sweetened. And a lot of times we're using a combination of stevia or monk fruit with erythritol. And that's gonna be more blood sugar balancing. You're not gonna get the blood sugar spike, the insulin spike when you consume that. The caveat there again is any sort of sugar alcohol, if you have a sensitive gut, you may notice more gas, more bloating, more kind of gastrointestinal discomfort. So you have to understand if you're able to tolerate it and then what threshold you're able to tolerate, like how much you can tolerate, so you don't get the unwanted symptoms in your gut. So I think that's really the biggest key there. So if you want to do a granola, it can be done, and you can make it with healthier ingredients that are lower in sugar, more blood sugar stabilizing, more insulin friendly. And I would recommend doing that if that's something you really love and enjoy. And so that's really the good news. These are the 5 things, again: smoothies, yogurt, protein bars, salad dressings, and granola. The bad news is most of the ones that you may have consumed in the past that are common in our society are really high in processed ingredients that are highly inflammatory, high glycemic, not insulin friendly. The good news is you can turn all of these things into insulin friendly foods that are more blood sugar stabilizing, less inflammatory, and help promote health and wellness. So good news and bad news. The takeaway is be really cognizant of the foods that you're consuming and make sure you're checking ingredients, checking labels, and seeing what's being added to these foods. I would not trust your typical franchise restaurants, your typical restaurants out there. They're more concerned with you enjoying the meal and enjoying and having an amazing experience in your mouth than they are with your health. And so they're using ingredients that are gonna make your mouth explode with flavor, but are actually going to set you up for inflammatory based conditions down the road. So be very careful, be your own health advocate, look out for yourself, understand what's in your foods, and continue to educate yourself on these important topics. Hey, if you enjoyed this, be sure to share it with somebody that you know and that you care about, and also check out some of our other videos and trainings so you get more great health information, and be sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss one of these important trainings. We'll see you on a future video. Be blessed.